Ba-dum, dum, dum, dum. Dum, dum, dum. Ba-dum, dum, dum, dum. Ba-dum, dum, dum, dum. Hey, the mic is hot. Hot mic, hot mic. Watch out, everybody. Hot mic. Oh, we still have the hot mic again. Well, hello, and welcome back. I'm AJ O'Neill, and we're doing some live code on Dash Incubator work, as is always the case with this particular channel. Well, actually, no. Now we have the weekly Dash update, so there's that. There's that as well. That's another thing that's now going on the channel. And the video's a bit jittery. Give me just 1 second to check into that. Okay, so the mic problem, fingers crossed, should be fixed by virtue of I got a different device to plug in my monitors to, and it has USB on it. And so I've got the mic now plugged into that while I'm still waiting for the USB hub to get here, the new USB hub. So hopefully, I've got my fingers crossed. I'm hoping this is it. I'm hoping it's not, that the mic is bad, because I replaced the cable. Now I've replaced the USB hub. I haven't noticed any actual failures since plugging into a different USB hub. So there's that's hopeful. All right, and then it looks like USB hub is scheduled to get here tomorrow. So then I will plug in the rest of everything else, and hopefully all of the problems that I've had in relation to connectivity will all go away, because I think they're all related to getting a great deal on this USB hub that turned out to not be such a great deal after all. All right. Also, I'm not ready for Mountain Dew yet. Actually, I probably am ready for Mountain Dew now, but I'm drinking some sort of strawberry drink mix. It's kind of weird. And in terms of what we're working on today, so I think that this is pretty much completely refactored. I feel really, really good about it's all browser friendly code. It's all typed, and there was a couple of pieces that were complicated, and one piece I consider a bug, because it squelched an error message rather than letting the error bubble up, so that it's more difficult to tell if a key was actually generated or not, or whether it was reused was the problem. So I feel pretty good about that, and I think that we're ready to make what are hopefully the final adjustments to this, which is, now that we've got everything as an object. Let me bring this back over here. Now the idea is, well, let's take it a step back to the way that it used to be and give it some instance methods. So let me get in here. Oh, this says it's still open somewhere. Oh, it's open right there. Whoops, let me grab that one instead. Bloop, 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 bloop. There we go. Okay, so let's get out of here. All right, so right now, I did want to give this another name, the From Seed and From Xpub. I don't remember which names I wanted to give it. I think I wanted to give it, I think I kind of wanted to go with the stringify and parse, but the problem is I don't like oh, what's up? So I don't actually have, I guess I should have that tag, but it's this one. Here you go. There's the Discord. Welcome back, Exploding New. Alright, so I'm looking at my sheet of paper here, and I'm just going to take a minute to consider these. One thing that I thought about that I think makes sense in this implementation is that when you derive an account, at the point that it's deriving the account, it should also have the xpub and xpriv keys ready. Because it's not a lot of extra work, and you're not going to be deriving accounts very often. So it's not on every derive it needs to go through the work of encoding the xpub and the xpriv. But whenever you derive an account, I think it should do that, because that's the layer at which those things should happen. And this library, again, is going to be more focused on BIP44 and less focused on BIP32. So BIP32 is what this library came from, and BIP44 is what we're actually trying to implement, which is basically just some more well-defined information around BIP32. Which, now I understand why BIP32 was marked as unanimously disagreed upon or something like that, and BIP 44 was accepted, is because BIP 44 is basically just a revision of BIP 32, and the revision has the requested changes essentially. Okay. And I think from the perspective that this is not truly a JSON object, it's totally okay. Whoops. I don't like that music. we're gonna skip this one. This one's a little bit too cray-cray. What was I saying? So from the perspective that something. Oops. Oh, come on. There we go. Oh, that these objects aren't really JSON. They have, JSON is something that can be perfectly stringified back and forth. And these objects are not that, because they are primarily made of buffers. So if we go back to this create, we can pretty much get rid of the create function. Which I think what we might do instead is have not a create function, but rather, well, maybe a create function. I don't really know. I was thinking about having, you create and you pass in the seed, and then when you derive, it does the work. So it just kind of keeps the state. And then when you do the first derive, when you derive wallet, it will do the async stuff. So I thought about doing that. I'm not quite sure what the API for this should be, but I can work on the parts that I understand, that I'm very confident on, and then I can go back and work on the other parts. Not to derail the stream, but I think it would really help having links to everything in your panels commands. In your panels and commands. I don't know what you mean by panels, but yeah, go ahead. Tell me what links that you think there should be. So we do have, because the way that Dash works is very open-ended, there's not a lot of hierarchical structure. There is some, so Ryan is kind of more of a anti-disestablishitarianist. I don't know if that really does it justice, and Ryan will be, leave a comment to figure out how you want to describe yourself. But this is a point where Ryan and I disagree, and it bugs me. Ryan likes things to not have form or structure, or that's the way it comes off to me, because every time I suggest that we should have what I consider to be just the lightest layer of structuring, he kind of pushes back on it. And so we don't have an official, there is nothing official. There is no official Dash Incubator Discord. There is no official Dash Incubator. There's not. I am strongly of the opinion that we need to have something that is, this is the brand. Whether you want to call it legal or a legal structure or not a legal structure, or an organizational structure or not an organization, we need a brand, and we need a place where people get in touch with the brand. And I may be misrepresenting Ryan's views, but he is the leader. Whatever he wants to call himself, he is the leader. And I wish that he were a little bit stronger of a leader in some regards. I like a lot of the freedom and the loosey-goosiness, but I do want to say, okay, this is where you get in touch with us. This is the point of contact. This is what the logo is. This is the process for such and such. I would like more of that. But yeah, we'll have to figure it out. Twitch panels are customizable features that allow streamers to add images and text to their channel page to provide are you directly quoting this from something? This seems a little too formal to be an ad hoc information. Typically located between the stream. Yeah, I think you are actually directly quoting this. You want to just give me the URL? Streamer schedule, social media links, about me. Panel provides a brief description of the streamer. Okay, yeah, I think I know what this is. This is basically when I go to the kind of the home page, it asks me if I could, to add some things. Well, I will do this. I will give you the Discord command at least. I'll go into the reply commands and I'll add the Discord right now. So let's do create Discord. And then message text is... Let me see if I can... Let me just grab it from here real quick. But this... So this is my Discord. And then there is a link in that Discord to... There is a Dash Incubator channel in that Discord. Okay, so... Oh, whoops. I accidentally just dropped all of the comments. My bad. Oh, whoops. And there's another thing going on. Sorry. I had not thought about this. Okay. There is another issue that we have here, which is that this is the wrong... Dang it. Darned if I do, darned if I don't. Okay, I'm going to need to group these items into BCB bots. There we go. And then I need to switch something real quick. Give me just a second. I'll make sure the chat comes back up correctly. So I need to switch over to the Dash Incubator Scene Collection. This is probably going to... Everything's going to go goofy for... Okay, so now I need to take this one. Let me grab these links real quick. Because basically I need to make sure that I swap back and forth, and I'm going to need to give these some sort of color grade or something so that I remember the difference between the two. Because I'm trying between Streamlabs, or not Streamlabs, between Stream Deck. I'm trying to get my Stream Deck buttons to work across the channels. But the problem is that there's sub things, and I can do this. If I make everything one scene collection in OBS, then I think I can do this a little bit better because I can click on, for example, the Dash Incubator button and have it load Dash Incubator OBS and then have it turn on and off certain scenes. But it's still a little bit wonky as of right now, so... Give me just 1 second and I'm going to get the chat working properly again, because I'm seeing the right chat, but nobody else is seeing the right chat. This is the Beyond Code chat. So I'm going to try to fix that. And then I'm going to have some sort of button to fix this. Okay. We're going to switch back over to the Beyond Code. Alright, there we go. And this one doesn't have that LUT applied either. That's okay. Delete me? Oh. Oops. Yeah, that one says delete me. I'm going to delete it. I just wanted to see what it was before I deleted it. Okay, so now I need to add another... Basically, I need to duplicate. Let's see. Okay, copy. And then... paste. I don't want to paste a reference. I want to paste a duplicate. I can't duplicate this. So 320 by 600. All right. Let me go back to browser here. And this will be DI restream chat. And then we're going to do 320 by 600. And we're going to put it right like this. And then the real chat should start showing up. One day I'll figure out how to manage all this stuff. Okay. Okay, now, if you do a chat message, it should show up. So here's the Dash Incubator bots. We're going to put this into the Dash Incubator bot. And then we need to copy this one as well. This one's 800 by 600. I think it's just been scaled down. Okay, so give me a second here. So we're going to do another browser source. And this is going to be DI Streamlabs bot. And this is going to be 800 by 600, which is its default size anyway. And then we're going to paste in the URL for the dash incubator one. And then we're going to make this small. And then next time there's a sub or a follow, it should pop up right there. And that should be okay. And then I'm going to move this into the DI bots folder. And then I'm just going to have a multi-action. Thanks for that test. So now I need to add a multi-action to the Stream Deck so that when I press the dash incubator button, it will swappy-do from between the two, which that is less complicated than having a whole bunch of buttons and having to switch between button profiles and blah blah blah. So I'm moving everything back to just one profile is what I'm saying. Okay, and I don't need that timers on, and I don't need that BRB on. And then we do have, okay, good. The pixel mask is over here. I've been playing out with a couple new features. And then we don't need this one. That's not going to be there. The pixel mask, that can stay there. That's my primary capture. Okay. Alright, so let me just test something real quick, make sure all of this is still working. That's still good. And that's still good. Excellent. Alright. Do I have anything in the works as far as Twitch tipping? I am so not a real streamer. I'm just so a plebe. So I don't... we do have a plan to do some dashy things where you can, one, when the stream starts, there will be a QR code and the first person to scan it gets the monenes. And we could implement a QR scanner, so I could make something so that if you want to send a tip, that the QR code is just down over there, well, that way, over, let's see if here, yeah, you can kind of see my hand moving. You know, put it over in that corner, or maybe up here over in this corner. We could do something like that. That would be interesting. I know Jojo Bite and I are both kind of interested in some of these tools, but not from an integration specifically with Twitch, but an integration with Dash tools. No QR scanner needed with the Twitch extensions API. Yeah, we can look into that at some point. I mean, you can tell me more, link me to stuff, especially if the link doesn't work through here, which sometimes I have to put on strict mode because occasionally I've been bombed by retards. I shouldn't call 12-year-olds retards. I mean, they're just teenagers, but you know, people doing dumb. And so yeah, but feel free to drop those suggestions in the Discord, and you could, if you wanted to, I bet Ryan would be willing to set up a bounty for you to go in and Twitchify us, right? So if you wanted to @Ryan in that Discord link, now you should be able to do bang Discord to get the Discord to load like you were trying to do earlier to get that link. So if you want to join in on the Discord and then go into, it is the Dash Incubator AJ Squad group, General Dash Incubator. If you plop in there and just @Ryan and say, hey, I want to Twitchify the Dash Incubator and set it up with all the stuff, I think that there's a good chance he would let you do that. So there's an idea. Okay, this one is not the one I want to look at. This is the one I want to look at, I think. Let me just git pull and make sure everything's good here. All right, -hd.js. Okay, so let's go back to this create function. I need to make sure that all the types are updated and stuff. But look how simple this is now. Now these are just integers. This is an integer, this is an integer, this is an integer, this is a buffer, this is a buffer, this is a buffer. But now, this was not super apparent to me before, but after all this refactoring, now I know, hey, look, this is what an HD key is. It's just these things. That's it. That's all that's needed. It's nice to be able to see it in simple form without all of the hoopla. So this is basically, I would say, what we're kind of doing here. This is the create function. Sure, this could be a more like a validate function. This does nothing. We don't need a create function anymore because now we understand exactly what this object is. What we could have, let's see, I kind of want to call this Derive wallet. That's what I want to call this one. And so you give it a seed and you give it versions and you derive the wallet, and I kind of just want this to be more like this, where versions are optional because, again, we don't have any other versions. The only versions that we have are for testing. So I do want to export that, however. I think that's actually kind of important, that we should export. I want to call these mainnet versions and testnet versions. And then get rid of all of this reference to Bitcoin, because it's kind of confusing. If you were to go in this code, you might think that it has something to do with Bitcoin. It really doesn't have anything to do with Bitcoin. It is mainnet and testnet. And you can have alternate testnets, but that's basically what it is. This is mainnet and testnet. And I think that we actually ought to export these. Mainnet. So that's the one thing that's nice about the create function, is that this is done automatically, and I like that. I think that makes a lot of sense. So that makes the create make sense. All right, but now we need to figure out this testnet stuff as well. And I'll have to go check and see, because we had this, I think it was in the BIP 44. Yeah, Ryan is R-I-O-N, like Ryan the Lion. He's the dude. Okay, the 5 levels, and what am I looking for here is testnet, registered coin types. Dang it. This is not actually the right one. So I need to find the BIP that is xpriv xpub. That's the BIP I need to find. Do we not have a BIP for this? Okay, maybe it's defined in BIP 32 and I didn't notice it before. Okay, testnet. There we go. That's what I needed. I think we could just drop versions. We could potentially put this out further. Let's see. Where is versions actually even used? That's another question. Okay. HD versions. Mainnet, xpriv, and xpub. Testnet, tpriv, and tpub. So I think they are anyway. Okay, I need to... Okay, oh! Alright, what's going on here? So, Discord is now saying it detected a new mic, but it doesn't look like my mic actually stopped working. So, is something else... What else is connected that it might think is a mic? Because I bet the USB hub just did its wonkadoodle thing. Let's see here. Okay. Well, good. Audio has still not gone out the entire time since I switched the USB hub plug. So, it's still good. All right, so we've got from extended key. I actually don't want. I do want to look at this a little bit further. So I'm going to derive the wallet from a seed. I don't know if that's quite. Derive wallet's a tricky one. I guess from seed makes sense. From extended key. And this one I just want to rename it to X key. And I did want to change the HD from seed. I did want to change the function signature on this so that it actually is using... So we're going to change this around a little bit. So these are going to become prop, not param. And then this is going to be type def, not callback, and options. And then, whoops, what did I do? Okay. And then here, so this needs to become now HD from seed options. And we'll just call that ops. And then it needs to have these two properties on it, which is seed bytes. We'll call that, we're getting rid of the word buffer. Okay. From seed. From X key. I think that we want that to be true by default, actually, and we want this to be mainnet by default. And we want this to be probably just X key by default. Ah, there we go. Okay, versions equal. Yeah, okay, good. So I don't think that we need the skip verification. False or true. I don't think we need the skip verification. Just seems kind of silly because I don't think there's any instance where we I mean, this already has checksum bytes in it. So yes, it is possible to construct an extended public key or an extended private key that is wrong. But that's kind of not our problem. You know, if you are using a tool that is generating bad keys, the likelihood that this is going to help catch it is really low. Because there's a lot of different ways to generate bad keys, and I don't know. And it's not really verification. That's also the wrong terminology to use here. This would actually just be a normalized public key. And this is going to happen here anyway. So basically what you're saying is you're taking a public key and you're plotting it on the graph to make sure it fits on the graph. That's what it means by verification. Is it's just seeing, does this key plot on the graph, yes or no? And if you're I don't know why the performance is important in this case. I don't know why this option was given, but yeah, I think we can basically say normalize public key is false, and then if normalize public key Alright, then we're going to do the same thing here that we did before. We're going to create a type def, and this is going to be options, and then this is going to become hg from x key options. We'll just call it ops again. Get rid of all of these. These params become props. Whoops, if I could spell. And then this is going to become X key. And there we go. Oh, whoops, at prop, not at props. Okay. Oh, from X key. So I've decided for my rationale on this, which, good or bad, this is my rationale and I'm sticking with it. It's X key in a function name because it's short for extended key. Capital X, capital K. Because it's short for extended key. So it's actually two things put together. But as a property name, it's all lowercase x key because the property name is actually x key as one word. It doesn't stand for anything. So that's kind of a cop out, but because this just doesn't look good because it's too close to the X looks more like a this by that. It doesn't look like an X. So in function form, it's capital X, capital K. But we wouldn't turn it into lowercase x underscore key. So this is where it's incongruent. But for the sake of readability, this is, I think it's pretty easy to argue that's much more readable. Okay, so this TX ignore. Do we still need that? It looks like we don't need that anymore. It doesn't look like it's a problem anymore. Okay. Alright, we've got the tpriv stuff going on here. Key info version. Okay. Oh, bother. It does have a 0. Okay. Versions.private.toString. Public. There we go. Okay. Let's see here. I really don't like going with versions, but I don't know if I've got anything better to offer. Okay. Just so we clean that up a little bit. Okay. Wait, didn't we already do this up here? I don't think we need to do that assert yet. Yeah, I think we can actually cut this one out. Let's we can put that there. Let's put this here. But let's move that. We'll move this assert out of the way in just a second. Alright. So we can get rid of this assert. There we go. Because it's going to be either either a public key or a private key. And I think that this is wrong. Public key must be 33 bytes. I think technically there was once an allowance for these larger keys, but we don't use them. And I don't like the idea of supporting them because it just adds confusion. That nothing in the ecosystem actually works that way. At one point, XY pubs were allowed 1 plus 64 bytes, but nothing in the ecosystem actually works that way. Okay, so that's simpler. Okay, cool. So we've got another thing here that I think is actually important to recognize and check out. Which is that if BIP44 equals true. I want to do this. Or rather, BIP32 equals false. If not BIP32, if depth, let's see, and it's got to be, I forget what the depth has to be on these, but it's a specific number. If, I think it's 4, if depth is not equal to 4, then because this deriving an X key should be for an account. Okay, so we just throw X key should represent an account with depth. All right, so that should not be a magic number, but should be. Should be better. Should be specific. I just put this here too. Brah. Let's see. BIP 32. Allow non-account keys. Okay, so we got that in place. Let me go check. So this M is, I forget what it's for, but I think it's for basically the level of the mnemonic or the seed. And then, let's see, depth. Where is depth increased? Depth is increased every time we derive. So we skip deriving for the top level M. And then we derive, what is it? Oops. Let's see. So level 1, so that this is depth of, is that depth 0 or 1? So this is where I get confused. Is this depth 0 or is this depth 0? And technically, that should be, either way is appropriate. M doesn't matter. Okay. So let me go take a look at this and see. I need another tool to compare against this, I think. Well, how was I doing this before? Hold on. We got the CLI tool. Let me see, how was it doing? It was doing seed to X keys. And how did I do this? that's not what I wanted. I want path. Zero.xprov. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do either. I wanted to run that. In this case. Okay, why is it griping? 34. Let's see what's up on line 34. Console.log HD key. Okay, so that was my doing, it looks like. I'd copied over, got it. Let's have it go back to the original version though. And I'll make these changes later. Do we have a mnemonic to xpub? Xprov? Yeah, we do. Okay, good. So M44, whoops, I need to do these in double quotes. 44, was it 5, 0? Alright, I didn't do anything special there, right? Yeah, reset. Derive. And this is still HD key. So that's not our updated version. Is it this way? Do we need to do this? derive is not a function. Ah. Simple enough. I'm a little bit confused here. I'm wondering if... Ah! Yes. Okay, now let's try this. Great. And then I want to decode this and find out what its depth is, essentially. Okay, depth. Zoo.xpriv. Zoo.0.xpriv. I should get the xpub as well. Okay, so then xpriv to width. Okay, depth is 4. Let me double check on that. That's odd. Where's depth? Okay, this is weird. I must be editing a different file than what I'm... Indeed, I am editing a different file. That is why it's coming out weird. Console.log. Depth. Private root.depth. Okay, depth is 3. That's what it's at. And then where's that other console? Okay, HD key. Okay, so that's not correct. So total depth is 5. So the depth we should be looking at is depth of 3. So and let me just double check that this makes sense. So this is 0. This is 1. Oops. This is 2. This is 3. Alright, that makes sense. 0, 1, 2, 3. Depth is 3. That makes sense. Alright, so this is the level that we're at. Okay, good. So that makes sense. So we can check the keys to make sure they're at the expected depth and we don't do something weird with them. Okay. Alright, so we've got from X key. From HD seed. Alright, so what have we done here? We just tightened up these two so far. That makes sense. What's going on there? Whoops. What was ops for? I don't know what ops is. Encode priv, unit 8 array, key bytes. There we go. Whoops! Oh, this needs to be able to have a version attached to it. We actually currently don't have that. So that's a to-do. Alright. Okay, and then we need to redefine a little bit about HD from seed options. Okay. And then here, HD Derive helper needs to be updated. Actually, I'm gonna stash all these changes. Okay. Alright, good. So we got some basic type fixes that I think I actually want to put in before. Oh, I think I was supposed to do a dot there. I don't remember. I think it's supposed to be like that. Object dot. Whatever. Oops. So this needs to be a UN8 array. And this one needs to be, there we go. Okay, and then what else? Nothing else. And then I'm going to have a little bit of, yeah, I put the wrong thing for that, no big deal. And then I actually like the way I said it better there, but whatever. Oh, whoops. Oh, whoops. Okay, so if we look at just this now, what? I need to drop that, I think. Okay, so let me fix this once more. Oh, I just fixed it. Git commit dash m. Okay, let's push that up. And then do git stash pop again. No! Please don't tell me. There's from execute. Okay. Wait, I'm a little confused here. Okay. So I need to go back a little bit. Let me do this. We're gonna go here. We're gonna grab all these. Not a big deal. And we're just going to do git rebase dash I main. Simplify. Okay, fix. I am. Oh no, refractoraptor. All right. I will give you the wave. There. I have added you. How far back does this go? Interesting. I can go back pretty far. Alright, let's try taking it back one further. Nope, it is exactly at the right place. Cool. Okay. Okay, so here, this is where we have the question of, do we want to say Derive wallet? I think we kind of want to have... Alright, here's what we should do. Purpose is going to be 44, and what is the official name for this? Is it coin or network or whatever? Back to this one. Okay, purpose, coin type. There we go. Check that out. That's some awesome sauce. Okay, what is it still upset about? 407. Oh, equals. That's what it doesn't like. Okay, now I think I'm okay with calling it Derive Wallet. Because the wallet is really up to the point of the coin type. And we could have a Derive coin. Actually, I don't really want to deal with that. If you want to derive the coin, you just derive. You derive. Yeah. So this. There we go. Derive wallet, and then we get a seed. We have the coin type and all that. Drive path. Okay. And then we get Okay, well maybe we actually can do this in this way. Well, I guess it doesn't matter which way we do that. We can look at it either way. It's the same thing. Okay, so we're going to be able to derive a path. Whoops. What is going on? And here... specify at param number account. Okay, there we go. And then I can plop this here. And then I actually could do... I can type this. So this would be at callback derive account. And then we can put the type on here, and I can export that elsewhere. So we can just call this at type derive account. Boom. Used before it was defined. Brr, 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 brr. Fine. We can move this down below. Tomato, potato. It's the same thing. But just to get that off my back... Okay. I might just call this HD derive account and then put it down. Well, I guess either way it still goes in the same place. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit unique in that it's going to return a type that has a method that nothing else has. Or rather, we're going to have a type that nothing else has. And then we're going to have the HD wallet. So this is going to have HD derive key. And it's also going to have some sort of okay. Oh, and we need to, do we need to specify whether this is drive up to that point, but then when we get the XPub, I'm trying to remember how we do this. We derive the XPub. Well, not derive. I guess, so if we're count, do we... something like that. Okay, yeah, I think we can have an xpriv. Hold on, I gotta think about this. Do we want to derive it down one layer? I think we also need a get. And this should probably be a get keys. Okay, so I think the way that this is going to work is that we're going to pull out... I'm gonna have to build a little bit and play a little bit. But I think the way that this works, if I'm understanding it correctly, is we derive the account. The account is a private XPub. We go one layer down to have what we would give. So drive account. Okay, which is the layer at which, so that's hardened. And we don't want to give away the one that's hardened. We want to give away the one that's not hardened. So I think the way that I've been doing XPub keys might be wrong. So I may have to transition my wallet, the one that I built. I think I might be off by one layer of indexes. Because the keys that I want to give away... Actually, this is one where I don't know how the other tools in the ecosystem are doing this. I don't know of any other tools in the ecosystem that are actually using xprivs and xpubs. I think that Edge Wallet is. Let me take a look at Edge Wallet real quick. Let me see if I can find that. Let's see. I wonder if I can go in the app somewhere and get access to the xpriv and xpub. View xpub address. Interesting. Uh-oh. This doesn't look right. So at least Edge Wallet is not compatible with what I'm doing here, because Edge Wallet, instead of using xpub and xpriv, it's using I think it's using dark P and dark S is what it looks like. And that's not right. Uh-oh. I mean, we can fix that later. But I don't think that there's any reason for us to be using dark. I'm pretty sure that's not what anybody else is using. Hold on, let me let's see. Let me post this over here as well. Okay, well, we'll find that out, and if I have to go change it, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, we've got everything. I do have to. There are some changes that we'll have to make it through, but it's not that big of a deal. I don't think we're using dark P and dark S, and I would guess it'd be DRKP for public and DRKS for secret, but I don't know. Maybe it would be DPRV. I don't know what the... Just keep an eye out for any feedback I get back on that. Okay, alright, so that's that aside. Let me get back to thinking about the the types of how this is going to work here. Okay. Get keys. Alright, so an account partial, and then we're going to have basically the same thing. But then we're going to have HDX key partial. And that's just going to have an X keys. Okay, I think this will be right. I wish I could see what the path is on that. I probably can. I can probably go in here. Well, I mean, they're so... I just don't think these things are very, very much used. Let me try opening up Dash Core. Because I think that my Dash Core has been converted to HD keys. I don't know how I can get an HD key out of Dash Core. But let me go ahead and bring it over here. I'm gonna look up some documentation here. Yeah, xpub. Xpub from Bitcoin Core, that'll probably be about the same. Oh no, we might have an incompatible, and maybe the Dash Core actually uses hardened BIP32 the whole way through. It might be old enough to not use. Because Dash Core is not something that Dash built. Dash Core is a fork of Bitcore, the old, nasty, dirty, ugly Bitcore with a handful of modifications. And I'm hoping that part of this whole the broader spectrum here of this Dash Tools stuff is to have every piece of Dash Core independent in code that is easy to read and doesn't have a lot of hoopla around it, so that somebody could go in and what I want to see is I want to see Dash Core die, both the JavaScript library and the C++ code. I just want to see it dead. It is old, it is crufty, I guess it works, but it doesn't work well. It's not composable. It doesn't follow the Unix philosophy. There's no way to use it in a sensible way. It's just a giant monolith, and that's all it is. And it's not useful as a reference implementation. It's not useful. It's terribly difficult. Not difficult. It's not as difficult to use. It's just cumbersome to use. It's just Okay, and of course it's going to take years to load because that's how it is. The future I'm hoping for is fresh, lightweight, easy to use, easy to debug tools. That's what we're doing here. Okay. So that aside, we got account partial, and we could at the top level have, we could derive from seed. We could derive all the way from seed down to, anything. We can derive from seed to a specific key. We can derive from seed to a wallet. let me see if there's any way for me to... If I open up the console, I'm going to try command line options. Let's see. I don't see any command line options. No, that's for opening. That's not for using it. Okay. Create wallet, open wallet, close wallet, backup wallet, open wallet configuration file, change passphrase, console. Okay, so I'm going to open up my console on the other screen. And one thing that it did do, I thought, maybe it doesn't, was I thought it gave help. So as you type, it helps you know what you can do. But I'll just type help. Okay, and then let's see. I'll bring it on my big screen so I can see it from top to bottom. So network mining, Evo, Dash, control, blockchain. Let's see if I could just get dash core help.txt. Yeah, there doesn't appear to be, and I'll just check with RG X pub. Yeah, I just want to do case insensitive. X private, no. Extended, nothing. Okay, so there's nothing in the help about how this uses an HD wallet. So my guess is, well, yeah, I mean, I don't think there are any tools out there that use the HD wallet. I don't think that's a thing that's actually, I think the Edge is probably the only thing that actually uses an HD wallet. I don't think I've seen anything else do it. Well, actually, hold on. Let me open up the Dash wallet too. I think on the mobile phone it does to some degree. So I'll just continue forward with the caveat that I do need to talk to some people to confirm at what layer we expect these xpriv and xpub keys to be, and that I may have to swap a doodle the way that my wallet software works, because my wallet software may not be doing what I want it to do. I think I'm off by one layer of depth. Okay, so let's go back to this stuff. All right, so what do we got here? And I am going to have to take a bio break fairly shortly. I think I may want this one to be called Derive Account. Because we're going to have the seed. Oh, no, I'm not really sure. Okay, but the point is, this can derive an account. What? So very confused about this. Oh, it doesn't need to be HD. Okay. I don't know if it should be HD. Alright, we're going to leave it as such for now, though. Because this is at a lower layer. Okay, so... Ooh, this one's a tricksy one. Because... Ah, temporal dead zone with let. Ah! Maybe we can just call it a count key. Ooh. So count to X key. Okay, let me just think about this at the simplest level here first. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Alright, so we got an account key. And to the account key, we want to assign a couple of functions. We want to have a derive xpriv, a get xpriv, and then the same thing with the xpubs. Okay. Alright, so what is that actually going to mean? So this is an xpriv key. So where was that serialized at? Maybe we should just leave this at the top level and let that be that. I think we should. That simplifies that quite a bit. Well, maybe not. And then what do we call this? This is the internal, external. We can't call it purpose, but I don't like calling it internal, external. Let me see if in the spec it's got a better name for it. Change. I don't like calling it change. Okay, public derivation is used at this level. Yeah. All right. So it has to go down at least one level more. Account key. Account key. And then it's no longer derived child. Yeah, it's coming up on that time for me too. Should have had one before I started. Bio break. Alright, so we're going to have a sub-purpose. I'm trying to think. How do we want to use an xpriv should be tied to an account. True or false? It should be tied to an xpriv, should be created with a non-hardened. So I'm just going to make some notes to myself here. Xpriv should be non-hardened. Xpriv should be able to generate keys. If we say these two things are true, then that means that an xpriv is at the sub-purpose level. which should be 0. Ah, what did I do? Okay. So we don't have a path there. I'm trying to think about how would I want to use this. Because I really want a count. I pretty much always want to go straight down to the xpriv. This almost needs like a 2x. Would we ever? I have to make some choices that there may have to be another release of this to challenge or undo. But I just have to make the choices because I don't actually know what the right choice is. Alright, public derivation. So I think we may need to have a create X key that does this. That might make sense because I don't want all this stuff nested down in here where it's, you know, potentially confusing. And I think I do want to split these out into actually two functions. One that is from xpriv, the other one that's xpub from xpub, because I don't want it to be possible to return an ambiguous type, and you know going in, you know what it is. Okay, from X key. Yeah, I agree about the Beyond Code Bootcamp intro. I just keep on forgetting to do that. Also, that means I need a different button. But yeah, What do you say we put the Dash logo up on Fiverr and just tell them to copy that same logo roll? Thoughts? Let's see. Yeah, I would just need to put a dash button on my Stream Deck and copy the same key sequence essentially. It'd be nice if there was a meta button that when I pushed it, it dashified all the other buttons. Let's see. Let's see. Do I still have these hooked up? Okay. So that one's still hooked up. Hey! Dust. Or something. Okay, so we're going to move all this down into... Dang it, how do I want to do this? The layering, Duke, the layering. Let's see. Whoops. Did I just call that get pub by mistake? Where did it go? Where did it go? Oh, get X key. It became get X key. But it should have been X. Okay, I see what happened there. Okay. It makes more sense. Maybe this shouldn't be much as get as 2. I think that actually is more clear and makes for less likely to be ambiguous in the documentation. Okay. All right. Well, it's a little bit early to be taking a break, but I do need to take a bio break, and I need to just kind of let this ruminate for a minute with where I'm at right now and kind of see, because I think, well, I'll finish up with the documentation here, and then we need to take it back into some testing. So there's the install and then usage. So we need to update the usage. Let's update the usage to what I think that this is going to look like, and I think this is actually going to be really helpful. So -hd dot derive wallet, and then you're going to be able to give it, whoops, seed. So I'm going to say dash phrase dot to seed, let words equals zoo. So 2 and 3 and wrong. This one has 2 seed, yep. Oh, and it needs the salt. Secret salt. Let's call it secret. So I kind of think Derive account should be accessible. I don't know if it should only be accessible at this level, but I kind of feel like that's where it's got the most oomph. Because, well, I don't know. I mean, I guess if we have a wallet object, we can derive accounts from it many times. That kind of doesn't make sense. So derive account 0. Let xpriv equals account dot derive xpriv 0. Let keys equals xpriv dot, we'll say x key. Let xpriv equals x key dash hd dot to xpriv. Let's see, get keys. Okay, so I guess there should be a get keys and a get address, maybe. Could we call it use? Zero equals receive, 1 equals change. I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I'm kind of imagining this. So the question is, I think we maybe call this use. Is this how it boils down? All right, so this is basically one way to look at it. A typical use where the wallet will be used with multiple accounts, and each account will be used for several keys with addresses. So this is kind of the golden example. A one-off where I don't know if this is what I actually want to have it as, but something like this. Maybe parse expriv. Okay. I guess we're going to use to, we should use from. That makes sense. Okay. So I do want to support this use case of a quick one-off, which is that this could be fun, this could be very boring. That's true. Hey, Just Me, how's it going? I'm just kind of, it's probably more on the boring side. I'm just kind of wrapping my head around how to work with this library that I've been refactoring and rebuilding. It's a cryptocurrency wallet generator, hierarchical wallet generator library. And I'm trying to figure out what the kind of the main use case is for it, so that I expose the right methods. And so I'm just doing a little bit of documentation. I'm thinking I'm about to take a break so that I can kind of just kind of let my brain sit on it for a while now that I've been back in the code again, because I'm in it at a point where the bulk of the code is mostly complete, and I'm down to some final decisions of should it be like this or like that. Let's see, M44 5. And then 0, 0, 0. So here's an HD key, and from that, thinking maybe we do this. Let's see. X key. Maybe down here at this level. And then I could say I want to allow deriving a path. Okay. This is going to be a string. This is going to be a string. Okay. So we also want a way just to get, let's see, from the seed, or I don't want to derive a wallet. I might really just want a from seed method. So you're making a build-it-yourself wallet, not a coder program myself. Is a wallet made for a specific purpose, needed for some specific use cases on platform? Build-it-yourself wallet. So, let's see. So the wallet, it's a little bit confusing terminology, because there are things that were semi-standardized at different times a decade ago, and the words they're not congruent. And so one of the broader thing I'm doing here is working on a set of tools that are smaller tools, so each tool can be used independently, and they each can be used as reference implementations. So you don't you don't need to have the full everything or nothing. You can say, well, if I need to just understand this piece and work in with this piece for some tool, you have just the tools that are for that. So particularly in the browser use case, you're not bringing in megabytes of JavaScript. You're bringing in just a few kilobytes for the things that you need. So this is a tool for, so the wallet from a user perspective is just a collection of 12 words and then a secret. But it seems that in our ecosystem, the secret is typically set to an empty string. But that's what a wallet is. A wallet is nothing more than 12 words and a secret. And I don't know if we are using the de facto secret, because the documented secret is Trezor, all caps. This is what is used in all the documentation, all the fixtures, all the tests. It's Trezor, all caps. So I haven't looked in our mobile wallet to know under the hood what we're using. My understanding is that we're actually, Dashcore is just an old junky piece of crap called Bitcore with a little bit of rebranding and some colors changed. And it has a few extra functions implemented. But it's actually so old that from what I understand, it doesn't actually use the wallet spec. But that can't be right, because it seems like it is synonymous between mobile and this. But there's no way to inspect what's going on with the wallet as far as Dashcore goes. I think that I actually tried sharing the 12 words between Dashcore and the mobile wallet once, and it did work. It broke the mobile wallet because it had a bunch of private send transactions in there, as in hundreds or thousands of them, and it broke the mobile wallet, and I had to completely remove it in order to use it again. So maybe it's not that bad. Maybe it's not as bad as Bitcore because more things have been updated. Or maybe Bitcore's been updated too. I don't know. It's a fork of Bitcore. Anyway, so the 12 words and the secret are the wallet from the user perspective. From the technical perspective, that gets turned into a seed. So basically, a hashing algorithm is run on these, and then it produces a seed. And then from that seed, there's a path. And so if you use Edge Wallet on your phone, which also does not seem to follow the same standard that we're following for extended keys, but the Edge Wallet will at least let you make multiple accounts. And I'm not sure. I think that the way that it does it, though, is I think it just creates a separate wallet. I think that's what it means by account. But the specification actually does define that you can have an actual account identifier. And so I'm going off of the specs and applying it to the way that we use the mobile wallet, and that is intended to be used with platform for being able to share between friends. So I give you an XPub key, you give me an XPub key, we now can make payments back and forth to each other. So it's not to hold, you could make any manner of this is the base layer, and you can make any manner of thing on top of it. But if you wanted to make a wallet where funds were pooled together, the question is, what do you mean by that? Because that sounds more like I think that's what they call multi-sig with a lock. I think is what that is, where you pool together. But if you wanted to just pool funds together and let anybody who has access to the funds spend it, then yes, this would be great for that. Because you could share the XPriv key, and whoever you share the XPriv key with has the ability to spend. And if you share the XPub key, anybody who has the XPub key has the ability to contribute. So you could create a shared wallet from that perspective, but as far as I know, I think this is actually a pretty good standard. And I'm a very critical person. You can ask anybody who's interacted with me. I'm very blunt, very straightforward, and I think most things suck and are wrong. I don't think that this is a bad standard. I think this is actually pretty good, but I don't think that it has been implemented well. And so I'm working on, there's different, again, the term wallet is really overloaded, but I'm working on a wallet as in a program that could completely replace DashCore on desktop and hopefully could replace the mobile app. Although I don't think that there's as strong of a need for that, whereas the DashCore on desktop is just so clunky and terrible. We need something that has those tools. So I have, for example, there's a dash sign. So if you need to sign or verify a message, that is its own tool. To be able to create a wallet from a phrase is its own tool. To be able to create all of the keys is its own tool. So each of these things can be used right now from the perspective of a developer. You can see the pipeline from any part of the process to any other part of the process. It's all distinct atomic pieces. And then you can have the pieces play together to have the whole. So I am working on a live wallet so that you could do, for example, subscriptions. So if a merchant, because this is how the real world works, right? I want to say, I want to get this amount of service, this level of service, and I'm willing to pay this much per month for it, for an ongoing service, not for just some crap that costs per month for no reason. I hate that stuff. But I'd prefer paying a fixed price for things that are actually a fixed thing. You know, right? Why would you pay month after month after month for something that you get once? But anyway, but the ability to have subscriptions is something that I think is absolutely 100% critical. You cannot get adoption with a payment system if there's no ability to do subscriptions, because then a person has to remember to do an action all the time or lose access to their account. So there's at the macro level, so there's at the micro level, there's all of these individual tools. I'm specifically working on something for HD keys. At the macro level, I am working on tools that any developer can go into the tool and, fingers crossed, understand what that part of the process is about. Because if you just consider everything that happens in a cryptocurrency network, it's too big to fit in your head, certainly in one sitting. But if you need to understand just one piece of it, you know, so that's at the macro level. And then at the high level, what all of this is contributing towards is a lightweight wallet that can run in a desktop web view, so that you could have something that is kilobytes. You could actually download the desktop app, and the desktop app itself would be kilobytes, and then just open up and be able to use it the way that you use, say, for example, Slack or Discord. But those are based off of not a web view as part of the operating system. They're based off of an entire tool chain that is hundreds of megabytes. But we don't actually need those tool chains anymore. We needed them back in the day because, you know, we had to deal with Internet Explorer 6 and stuff like that. And so when Slack first came out and people were still using Internet Explorer 6, Slack needed to have the whole Google Chromium toolchain embedded into the Slack app because it couldn't open up Slack in a web view. Now, every operating system essentially uses Chromium as the web view for the browser. And Mac uses Safari, but they're not that far divergent from each other from when Chromium forked off of Safari. Because originally it was KHTML, which was Linux. Apple took KHTML and developed it into WebKit, and then Google took WebKit and developed it into Chromium. And all three still exist and are at different points where you can't merge them back together anymore because they're so different. But HTML and Linux has continued to evolve the entire time. WebKit and Safari has continued to evolve the whole time. And Chromium from Google has evolved the entire time. So what we have, well, I think they call it Blink. Blink is the underlying WebView engine. Chromium is not just the WebView engine, but the browser components that you can click on and, you know, make the window bigger or smaller, click and drag. Blink is the engine, just like WebKit's the engine and KHTML is the engine. Anyway, all that stuff aside. So a modern cryptocurrency wallet could be kilobytes. It could be something that someone, and this is kind of a contrived use case, but I'm going to throw it out there because it is one that's said, and used in the media and the why this is great, why it's going to revolutionize the world. I don't buy into all of that necessarily, but I do think that this is a moral good that someone in a third world country could download and use it. I think that that's a moral good. So, and it's a better experience for everybody because most people are not on gigabit fiber, especially not in America, and especially not in third world countries. Now, over in Europe, they have a lot more gigabit fiber. Over here, America kind of sucks because we've got all the old infrastructure and everybody else built their infrastructure after us, and so they already had better infrastructure by the time they were building the infrastructure for it. But so it goes. Yeah. So you said, sorry, I went on rambling for quite a bit there, but you said, just saw you here, and yeah, was exactly thinking that. So what was it that you were thinking exactly that? What were you referencing specifically? Okay. I'm going to get back to this for a minute. Okay, so do I want to have, let's see. Bless you, my son. Thank you. That would be super cool. Update's so much easier to use. Can't talk two-way, but very cool. Can't remember. Okay. Okay, so I think... Alright, I think this is what I want the API to look like. I think this is... They're basically two use cases. Either you just need to do something really quickly once. Whoops. Actually, let me move this up, because I think I kind of want to get to this point. There we go. Because this is kind of boilerplate. So I'm gonna put this up with the installation here. So yeah, this is I wanna show this part here. Just gonna move this boilerplate up a little bit. There we go. So, by the way, I'm not going to be working on any of the UI stuff. That's not what I do. There's no such thing as a full stack developer in my experience. There are people who are good at front end, who can dabble in the back end and make choices that aren't absolutely stupid. And there are people who do the more algorithmic slash engineering-esque programming, who can make a box blue if they need to. But there's no such thing as a full stack developer, any more than there's such a thing as a professional chef who's also a professional motocross. That such a thing does exist. There is somebody who has these two completely unrelated skills out of the universe of all the world. There are people who have completely unrelated skills who are true masters in both unrelated skills. But in the case of development, the front end and back end are as unrelated as being at the very least, as unrelated as being a cook and being a baker. And quite possibly closer to the difference between being a baker and being a professional motocross racer. Okay. Alright, so if we do that, we can get rid of this boilerplate here. Okay, and that makes that a little bit easier to digest. Because then we're just focused in this documentation on... There we go. All right. Okay, there we go. I think that this is pretty good for what this should look like. If we want to serialize it, that's how we serialize the xpriv. That's how we serialize the xpub. If we want to just do a quick one-off, here's how we use the key, and then we derive it. So I think that we might still be able to use... We don't have a to seed, so I kind of don't want to do the from seed, but we could just do the derive wallet. I think this works. Yeah, so an SDK, this is one of those terms that's a little bit fuzzy. So software development kit is kind of a more corporate, enterprisey term, but yes, I am building a Dash SDK that is composed of various tools. So I'm calling that SDK dash tools at present. So there's and that's kind of the meta collection. That's where dash tools is the umbrella of the library level stuff that I'm building. Somebody who's a front end developer is highly unlikely to be able to build the things that I'm building in a reasonable amount of time. But what I need to do is make sure that the documentation and the use case is good enough that the front end developer can then take it and understand it. And I'm not trying to dumb this down to nothing. I expect that there is a certain level of terminology that you have to understand. I'm not trying to build something that's very abstract, because things that are very abstract are very complicated. The beauty of abstraction is that it hides the details, but the curse of abstraction is that it hides the details. And so I'm building something at a level where the wallet that I talked about, the wallet project, which would also be a library, but that would be very abstract. That would be something that probably more people would want to use at a higher level. The tool that I'm working on right now is not, it's kind of below the layer of abstraction into details. So a lot of people may not want to know what an extended private key or xpriv is, or an extended public key or an xpub is. And this library is not for those people. I think that it is important to have an understanding and a demonstration of the core technologies. So most people, I don't think there's anywhere in the Dash documentation, as far as I'm aware, but there's a lot of it, and I haven't looked at all of it, but I don't think that there's a place where we actually use the standard path strings. And that kind of makes sense, because when you create a Dash wallet, you assume all of those. So all of this stuff up front, if you're creating a Dash wallet, you would never use anything else. So why would you need to expose that? And that's kind of what I'm doing actually in this previous example, is I do hide that away. When you create the wallet, unless you specify additional options, it assumes that it is going to be a BIP44 wallet of type 5, which is Dash. But then these pieces are the pieces that you don't, that you do generally have to change. The first one is the account, which is the thing that I think is the least well understood and implemented across the ecosystem as I see it right now. And then there is the use, and the use is either, right now for all applications I've seen, it's either a receiving address or a change address. And then the last thing is the index. So every time you use a key, an address, you increment to the next one. So if you've done 100 transactions, you have 100 different indexed keys. So your next number would be 100 here, like that. Okay, so that I feel pretty good about in terms of this documentation being this is at the right layer. The one thing that I might want to split out is that this is actually kind of a third use case. I think I will split this out. For creating xpriv, xpub wallets to share with contacts for future payments. So I think I will actually cut this out. Because that really it's a separate use case from what this one was. And I think if I'm going to always have this be there, I may actually bring these back. Okay, so there's wallet. And then I think I could say, yeah, there's a usage. And then we don't need to do this one either. Okay, so now wallet, we're going to say derive account. We're going to specify use. Okay. And then we would actually want to show this same thing again. Okay, this might need to be split out even a little bit further. That method that way? I think I do. I'm not sure. We'll come back around to that later. Okay. And maybe, I don't know if this will be cleaner or clearer if we do it this way, but I think it might be. So I'm going to shorten this up to look like that in hopes that that will actually be easier to read with the comments on the side there. Okay, so I missed some. Oh, okay. That bit came later. Front-end developers can build functions off your new library. Yes, and somebody on mobile, you should be able to use it too. Actually, if you no, you said you're not a developer. Can't hunt. So I'm on mobile. Can't hunt and peck. I don't know exactly what you meant by that, but I'm guessing you mean you can't scrub back and forth very easily, or you can't. Maybe you're saying you can't zoom in to see very easily. Yeah, so front-end developers, yes, they can use this library, and I think mobile as well. And this is the other thing. So I really think it's a bad idea to create Android apps and iOS apps using the same toolkit, because they always look crappy. I mean, you know when you're on an app that was built for Android when you're on iOS. You know, it doesn't work right, it's clunky, you can tell. The back button's not in the right place. The home button behavior is not correct. And I think that the same goes the other way around. If you're on an Android app that was built for iOS, you can tell. Again, back button's not in the right place. The confirm button's not in the right place. You just get wrong behaviors. And I think there is a use case where if you have a really strong brand, I think there is a use case to saying, no, we're going to build an app that is the same on iOS and Android because our brand is so strong. But I don't know of any brands that can pull that off. I think I can name 0 brands that I think are strong enough that they should have a synonymous experience across iOS and Android, because people who use iOS don't use Android, and people who use Android don't use iOS. People that are on Android expect it the Android way. People who are on iOS expect it the iOS way. So if somebody is introduced to an app on Android and then they go get it for iOS, they're going to expect the same options to be available in the menu, but they're not necessarily going to expect the back button to be in the same place on both apps. And I get the idea of you want to create a tutorial and you want to show how to use your app and it should work the same on both. But anyway, that aside, the point that I was getting to is that with this, because this code is so simple, I've dumbed it down. I've taken it from super duper, super smart JavaScript developer code to idiot moron JavaScript developer code. So, I mean, maybe that's a little bit of a stretch, because you can't do this stuff if you're a moron, because it's really hard. but if you're at the level of you're not a JavaScript nerd and you don't understand all of the different things about JavaScript, about how all the nuanced details, but you know how to program in, say, Swift, or you know how to program in Kotlin. Swift is the iOS language and Kotlin is the Android language. You could look at this, and I have an extremely high degree of confidence that you could know what it's doing. Because this doesn't have anything. This is almost at the level of pseudocode in terms of how simple it's written. Everything is spelled out. Everything has a variable name. There are no shortcuts. So you could take this and you could probably cut the number of lines in half by getting rid of intermediary variables and all that. But when you're talking about web development, all that stuff happens anyway. When you run the minifier, it gets rid of all the intermediary variables. So the idea of doing that in your source code is not a good idea, in my opinion, because we should always optimize for readability and understandability. So anyway, I think that someone could come through here and they could re-implement the 15 functions that they need to have in order for this to work. And I believe that they could actually do it. And that's another thing that I'm hopeful for about this, because I don't really understand our community that well. I don't know if I'm really part of our community that much. I'm just kind of off in my own little corner doing some AJ stuff and hoping that it will turn out to be really, really useful. Over this project is wrapping up this week, along with a few others that were related. So there's basically a ball of 4 projects that have so many different interconnected parts. They are discretely separate in terms of you can understand the passphrase library without understanding the extended public key library. And you can understand how WIFs, otherwise known as private keys, and addresses work without understanding those other 2 things. So they are logically separated, but there's also a lot of interplay, and they need to be consistent, which is something that we don't have in the ecosystem. So we don't have, one library will call it X key with a capital X. Another library will call it X key with a lowercase x. One library will call it xpriv with an I. Another library calls it xpriv without the I. So xprv versus xpriv. And so I want this SDK, I want it to be cohesive within itself, where everything has a similar name. If it's called parse here, it's called parse there. If it's called to there, it's called to there. If it's called get here, it's called get there. So that when you look at it as a whole, it feels like it was made it feels like it was made intentionally, not accidentally. Which the things that have been made were made accidentally. They were made intentionally in terms of functionality, but they weren't published intentionally. They were published incidentally, I guess would be the correct word to say. I actually don't think we need a get keys. I'm going to push back on that one. This is going to be dash keys dot toWith. Oh, whoops. Ooh. Actually, we do need get keys. So this is going to be private key. And this is going to be public key. Yeah, okay, whoops. And this will be dash keys dot toWith and dash keys dot toAdder. Keys dot private key. Keys dot public key. Okay. So I'm actually going to bring that back over this way. So when we look at it from this perspective, so this one will go away, and this one will be, again, the private key. Let me make that over here. So this will be both. And then this one will be just the one. Just be the public key. And then we will do this again. Okay, there we go. That's the correct API. Okay, I think this is the right layering. HD path equals we could call this key path. And likewise we could call this account path. There we go. And this one would need to be like that. Okay, is this right? Okay, now that's at the right level. Okay, so these are all correct now. That's all correct. And unfortunately, my syntax highlighting doesn't dive down into... I'm editing the documentation now, so the syntax highlighting is mostly off. Okay, but this is correct. I feel really good about that. Okay, now I'm going to go take a break, and I'm going to kind of let that simmer before I finalize it for good, hopefully. So this is going to be... update docs. So I think that if I just fill out the rest of... And I think I'm 99% there in terms of what I just did before. But I think if I just fill out the rest of the methods to match the documentation I made, I think I'll hit the use case. And then I'll move on, and then I will be making sure that dash phrase, dash keys, and secp 256k1 and dash HD, those four things, they need to all be finalized. So that will be the rest of today and tomorrow. We'll be finalizing those four things, I think. And then once those are finalized, and I do need to add, I want to add a few more test fixtures or tests from the official canonical BIP44 test fixtures for this library, not just the tests that were included with it, because it includes tests in the library, but I believe that, well, I know that it's been working for me, because I'd been using this library before it was all refactored and everything. So I should be able to swap it out with my wallet, and I should get back the same things. And so I guess that would be a good test to try first. But then the next one is going to be the block TX and the wallet and dash site. So those three things are going to go together next. So let me actually write this down. Okay, so what we have is phrase is what creates the wallet. Dash keys, well, sec P256K1 is what actually allows you to sign, aka make a payment. Dash keys is what provides the abstractions with the WIF and the adder and some of the encoding. And then dash HD is what, let's see here. And we have to use dash keys anyway. So yeah, and then dash HD is what actually handles the hierarchical derivation. So you can use dash keys without ever touching dash HD. If you use dash HD, realistically, you need these two are pretty tightly coupled, but dash phrase can be used independently of dash keys. And then these two are pretty tightly coupled, but for various reasons, someone may want to substitute the sec P256K1 library that's being used. So this is the layer that we're going with. So this is dash SDK core, dash tools core, whatever. And then the next layer up, that will be next. So this will be presented next week, I think, is all of these three and a half things together. And then this will be presented, perhaps the next month, will be dash site, dash wallet, and what was the other one I said? Dash TX. This is kind of the grouping for these. And so this is dash tools, the wallet SDK is really up at this layer. And so then we've got some other stuff on top of that, which is kind of the dash, I don't know, community or whatever. But we have crowd node, which actually we need to rename that potentially to be maybe dash crowd, or I don't know, dash pool. But this one is getting a UI soon. UI is coming on that soon. And the UI on this one is being developed simultaneously. And the front end is also being developed for this presently. So I got to do each of these first. And then we have the core CLI, which needs to take place. And that is going to include dash message rather than sec P256K1. But these are the core CLI tools. All right, anyway, I will be back later, but I'm going to take a break for now before I explode in my pants. And then grab something to eat as well. Let's see, what time is it? 1:24. Yeah, it's a great time to take a break. So I'm probably going to take a break for a couple hours. And then I'll be back. And this is my roadmap. So last week I was just out of sorts. I didn't really do much at all. The week before that, I was just burning hard on these things. But in the intervening week, both, while things were settling in my mind, I had some better ideas about how to approach some things. And then I also, it was good and bad. Because sometimes if you go on something too strong, you lose the big picture because you're too focused in the details. But when you pull back away from the details, sometimes it's a little bit rougher to get back into them because there's too many details to know them all. And so yesterday was a little bit more of, and some of today was a little bit more of that. I'm kind of reacquainting myself with details again, so that I can get the finer pieces done. It's always, and the finer pieces are, that's a little bit, they are a little bit more abstract and higher layer. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks for tuning in. Like, sub, follow if you want to. So let me go ahead and just pop that back up. It did come up just a minute ago, but I'll put it back up again. So there's the like, sub, follow if you want to. And I really appreciate the conversation, just me. It makes it a lot more enjoyable to do the work when, and beneficial when I have a chance to explain what I'm doing and kind of hear myself say it and think through things, and and I think that's what drives towards perfection in a sense. And if you were a developer and you could give me some critical feedback, that would be even more awesome. But I guess not if you were. If we had another person who were more of a developer and could give me some critical feedback, that'd be awesome. But I enjoyed the conversation with you and your feedback. And we will, we'll get back to this later today and carry on. And then this segment that I just went over, this is what should be, what I should be able to present on during the weekly update next Monday. Yeah, you'll learn something. If nothing else, the osmosis of just terms being thrown out can be highly helpful. All right, I'm gonna pause the music here. I'm gonna pause this. I think we still can't raid because we're still not a month old. So we should be a month old in, I think, not this week, but at the end of next week. Because I think we're 2 or 3 weeks old now. So as soon as we're a month old, we can do raids again. But right now we can't do raids. So thanks for joining in. I will catch you later. Adios. Wait, why didn't it? Uh-oh. What did I break? So I'm going to flash up the screen here.